Particular, do you think that we can truly make change as things are right now?
Well, it starts in the home. You know, if the father's not in the home, the boy will find the father in the streets. Yeah, I saw it in my generation and every generation before me and everyone since. It starts in the home. You know, if the streets raise you, then the judge becomes your mother, and and prison becomes your home.
And in this movie, you're dealing with young activists. So do you feel any hope right now with the young folks who are lawyers, who are, fighting and pushing for change?
I remember when I was doing the movie Malcolm X, and we were doing a speech up at Columbia. We had a bunch of students from Columbia University. In between takes, we were talking about things and how tough the world is and this and that. And I was like, well, with everything we're talking about, does it make you want to give up? And they're like, oh, no, we're going to change it. I was like, oh, I'm the cynic. They were thinking about changing.
He didn't say anything wrong. Character comes from home. If you're missing structure, love, or a strong role model, you end up learning on the streets. And that usually doesn't end well.
When you watch Fences and you look at Troy's and his choices, initially you get a negative reaction, but then when you try to understand him, go beyond what we see, we find that this is a good man who has been unjustly treated. And this is a man who had big dreams and he ended up collecting garbage. Is this a fair assessment of him and his behavior?
The thing about great writing, August Wilson, Eugene O'Neill, you name it, Arthur Miller, Tennessee Williams, there's so many layers. It's not just one thing. It's open to interpretation. I've heard people say things, well, I felt he was this and that. And I was like, oh, I never thought about that, but okay. People ask me, well, what do I want them to get from the film? I say, well, it depends upon what they bring to it. So what you see in Troy or feel about Troy has to do with your own life and, standards and all of you.
Well, it's not only about anybody's life. It's, in a way, he personifies the Black American experience. He's somebody who, had he not faced the racial discrimination, he could have been a great athlete, a star. But because of that, he ended up a garbage collector. And perhaps this self-destructiveness, was it caused by racial discrimination? And is that the effect of racial discrimination on people?
Here's the thing you got to remember. When you talk about racial and you talk about discrimination, what if he just wasn't good enough? See, it's so easy to just say, oh, it's because of this. It's because of racism. Oh, I didn't get the job because of that. Maybe you weren't good enough. Maybe, like his wife says, you were just too old. She says, why don't you just admit it? You were too old. He's the one that's hung up on,
But we know for a fact that so many talented African Americans who don't achieve their goals, or they are prevented or deprived from achieving their big dreams because of their skin color. I'll give you an example, Globetrotters. They were much better basket players than the white guys, but they were not allowed to play in the big league. Mm-hmm. Don't you think it is the problem is the racial discrimination?
The right word is not is, was.
Was.
And that's not the only problem. That's one of the problems. Now, you can make it the only one if you'd like, but it's not the only one. But that's a fact. That's a fact. They couldn't play basketball in the NBA. Well, their grandfathers couldn't walk on the sidewalk, or they were slaves. So each generation is trying to do better for the next generation. That's what Rose could see by wanting her son to get an education, but Troy couldn't see. For him, his son doing better was him getting his son a job at the sanitation department. For his wife, the son doing better was getting a good education and going to college. So each generation, regardless of race, each generation, Polish, African American, whatever, is usually trying to help the next generation do better.
You said was. You mean, is it better now? An African American doesn't face these obstacles?
We're sitting in the Four Seasons talking about a movie. Uh-huh. we wouldn't be doing this in 1957 unless my name was Poitier. There was only one person then. But yeah, so things are better, no question.
Because when you read, for instance, Obama's...
You can see it. Every time someone brings up race, Denzel's not here for it.
I was a garbage man, like Troy. Huh. You get 8 hours worth of work, but you can do it in 3. So you can go home as soon as you finish. Post office, you get 3 hours worth of work and you make it last 8. I did both. I like being the garbage man better. Huh. But they weren't bad jobs. It's like, people say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie. I'm like, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax. I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over. Get out of here. Your son got shot in the face. That's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury. It's a gift. It's an opportunity, and most importantly, it's a gift. Obviously, everybody here is talented enough to do that, but don't get it twisted. It's just a movie.
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
And there's been so many protests in America, especially during the election. Black Lives Matter movement, for example, and those issues. Has that movement in particular, the Black Lives Matter movement, helped race relations or not?
Exactly. So if Black Lives Matter wants to be a business, it can be one. Like he says, it's honest to turn emotion into something simple. Just some numbers and a quick reality check. It's usually not as it's sold, which makes BLM feel like a business move, not a genuine cause.
Last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and act.
He's right. It all starts at home. Respect to him. Who wouldn't want a friend like that? Not for the fame, but for who he is.
Black people in particular, do you think that we can truly make change as things are right now?
Well, it starts in the home. If the father's not in the home, the boy will find the father in the streets. Yeah. I saw it in my generation and every generation before me and everyone since. It starts in the home. If the streets raise you, then the judge becomes your mother and prison becomes your home.
What Mr. Washington said, it goes for everyone, every race, every religion. Love him or not, he deserves respect for staying true.
It's like, people say, oh, the difficulty of making a movie. I'm like, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax. I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over. Get out of here. Your son got shot in the face. That's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury. It's a gift. It's an opportunity. And most importantly, it's a gift.
Let's be real. This man speaks his truth, no filter. He's got God on his side. Don't forget that.
Like, send your son to Iraq. That's difficult. It's just a movie. It's like, relax. I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, we're moving over. Get out of here.
Facts. There's way more serious stuff going on in the world. Making movies? That's a luxury. There it is, Denzel dropping truth bombs that rocked